welcome to Lesson 6 Songs. We're going to play Can Can by Offenbach today. I'm going to do a performance tempo and then a practice tempo you can work with each day. I did create a duet part that you can play with a friend, and I'll leave the duet part on its own so you can play against the recording if you'd like. So this song is very often done faster each repetition, and you might even recognize it better if I were to do the repeats. The idea is, and I mentioned this in the foundations, it's good to grab a song you really like to play and then learn to play it faster. Sometimes I'll ask my students to do like just play it through once a day. You know, we're not really working on this, but just play it through once a day, and over a period of weeks and maybe over a month, you just learn to play it super fast. You memorize it, it goes on automatic pilot, and it gets your fingers moving. And the best way to learn to play fast really is to do it. All right. So let me do the performance for you, and then we'll do the practice one for you to work on. Okay, so I love to play that one fast. It's just fun. All right, practice tempo. I'll point out a couple things that are a little bit new, but not so much, because it's the same key as last week. So one thing that happens, your left hand going along happily in this G position, and then you'll notice that you have to reach down to the D. I keep my thumb here, and I spread my fingers out. So this is kind of like beginning piano. This is a little bit more advanced, right, where you're doing this. And then the next step of advancement very often is being able to cover an octave. D, D. So you're covering 8 notes, all those notes of a scale, right? And so keeping your thumb and spreading your hands out if you can. If your hands are too small, you can go down and kind of hop between. But if you can possibly spread out, keep your hands close. As you play faster, that comes in very handy. It doesn't really matter so much when you're going slow, but when you play fast, you don't want your hands, floating all over the place because, the keys are only so wide, and your fingers can come down in places you really don't want them to. So anyway, that's the story on that. I'll count us in and then go slow. 1, 2, ready, play. And you'll notice in this song, as opposed to some of the other songs, the staccato is there. The staccato are the little dots. You'll see them in the left hand. It means play short. And well, what is short? That's somewhat the interpretation of the person who's playing, because short can be a lot of different things. Super short, medium short, all that. That's more your choice. And it's determined by what makes the music sound the best. So in any case, the two different techniques are quite clear in music. Staccato, lots of empty space between, and legato, connected. So the last measure of the top line, that's an example of legato. Right. Classical music tends to do this almost to an extreme. Half of the expression is determined by how long those notes are and how they're played. and it becomes this whole thing. And while it is present in other styles, the classical music gets very specific because the composer very often has an idea in his head what he or she wants to sound like, and so they'll dictate it, they'll write it in. So there's these lines under notes to make them longer, or dots to make them staccato, and the slurs, the smooth legato, mean different things, and even the different instruments treat it differently. So a violin, for example, when it sees a slur, the legato, it's under one bow. And then for a wind player, it's with one breath. So they mean specific things. And that's one of the reasons why classical music sounds that way, because they're more picky about how you play the notes. And we're coming to that really for the first time here. You notice in Ode to Joy, the Beethoven song, I really didn't put any of that down. But if you go back to listen to that recording, you'll notice that the repeated notes I have to put a space between, and then the other notes I play legato, right? And it brings a character to the piece, like automatically because of the repeated notes. But anyway, that's part of the deal with classical music. Okay? All right. So let's jump into our duet. I'm going to play the melody plus the duet part. And they're fairly close together. So if you play with somebody else on one piano, you'll have to play them in different octaves, but it'll still work. And this music works with the piano part, both hands, plus the duet part. So you have three voices going on at the same time. Okay, it works. And so let's do the duet part. And now the duet part by itself. 1, 2, ready, play. And you'll notice with that duet, it's a real classical thing. One voice is smooth legato and the other voice is staccato. And the difference between the two bring clarity to the independent voices, even though they sound really good together. All right? Thank you for joining me. I'm going to jump in and work on Deck the Halls next. And you're welcome to scoot over to that next video and learn another song if you like. Thanks.